strange history of bizarre exotic foods. Bizarre exotic foods have long captured the imaginations of explorers, traders, and gastronomes. These unusual delicacies, often deeply rooted in local traditions and cultural practices, tell a fascinating story of human ingenuity, survival, and the quest to push culinary boundaries. From ancient civilizations to modern gastronomic adventures, the history of bizarre exotic foods reveals how tastes evolve, how cultures influence each other, and how what is considered strange or taboo in one society can be a prized delicacy in another. The origins of bizarre exotic foods can be traced back to some of the world's earliest civilizations. In ancient Egypt, for example, delicacies such as fermented fish, fasik, were consumed during festivals and religious ceremonies, a practice that continues to this day. Fermentation was a common method of preservation, and although the strong odor and flavor of fasik might seem off-putting to some, it was a treasured part of Egyptian culinary tradition. The Romans were also known for their adventurous palates. The wealthy elite indulged in foods that many today would consider bizarre, such as garum, a fermented fish sauce made from the intestines of fish. This sauce, which was a staple of Roman cuisine, was highly prized and used to flavor a wide variety of dishes. The Romans also enjoyed delicacies like dormice, which were fattened in special jars before being roasted and served as a luxury food item. During the Middle Ages, the expansion of trade routes introduced Europe to a variety of new and exotic foods. The Silk Road and the spice trade brought not only spices, but also strange and unfamiliar foods from Asia and Africa. Medieval European feasts often featured dishes that showcased the wealth and status of the host, and bizarre foods became a way to impress guests. One such delicacy was the peacock, which was served roasted and redressed in its feathers for a dramatic presentation. Another was the use of swans and porpoises, which were considered delicacies in medieval Europe, often consumed by the nobility during grand feasts. The consumption of these animals was not only a display of wealth, but also a way to demonstrate one's connection to the exotic and the unusual. The age of exploration in the 15th and 16th centuries marked a significant turning point in the history of bizarre exotic foods. As European explorers ventured into the New World and beyond, they encountered a vast array of unfamiliar and sometimes bizarre foods. These discoveries often challenged their preconceived notions of what was edible and what was not. One of the most famous examples is the discovery of the pineapple. Native to South America, the pineapple was initially considered so exotic and bizarre by Europeans that it became a symbol of wealth and luxury. It was often displayed as a centerpiece at feasts and banquets, and only the richest could afford to eat it. Similarly, the introduction of chocolate from Mesoamerica to Europe was met with both fascination and skepticism. Initially consumed as a bitter beverage, it took time for chocolate to be adapted to European tastes, eventually becoming the sweet treat we know today. Other strange foods discovered during this era include the guinea pig, which was, and still is, consumed in parts of South America. Europeans were shocked by the idea of eating what they considered a pet, but in the Andean regions, guinea pig has been a staple protein source for centuries, deeply embedded in local traditions. The colonial era further expanded the range of bizarre exotic foods as cultures collided and exchanged culinary practices. European colonists in Africa and Asia encountered a plethora of new foods, some of which were integrated into their diets, while others were deemed too strange to be adopted. In Africa, the consumption of insects such as locusts, caterpillars, and termites was a common practice that puzzled many European colonists. However, these insects provided a crucial source of protein and were often eaten as snacks or used in various dishes. Similarly, in Asia, the durian fruit, with its pungent smell and creamy texture, was both revered and reviled by those unfamiliar with it. Known as the king of fruits in Southeast Asia, durian remains a polarizing food, with some people loving its taste while others are repelled by its strong odor. In the Americas, the consumption of rattlesnake meat by Native American tribes was another practice that European settlers found bizarre. However, rattlesnake meat was a valuable source of protein and was often prepared in stews or roasted. The use of alligator and crocodile meat in the southern United States also has its roots in the practices of indigenous peoples and African slaves who brought their culinary traditions with them. The modern era has seen an explosion of interest in bizarre exotic foods, driven in part by globalization and the rise of food tourism. As travel became more accessible and the world more connected, people began seeking out unusual culinary experiences as a way to explore different cultures. One of the most famous examples of modern bizarre foods is the Japanese delicacy fugu, or pufferfish. Fugu is known for its potentially deadly toxin, which, if not prepared correctly, can be fatal. Despite the risks, fugu is highly prized in Japan, and only specially trained and licensed chefs are allowed to prepare it. The thrill of eating something so dangerous has made fugu a sought-after experience for adventurous eaters. In Southeast Asia, foods such as balut, a fertilized duck egg with a developing embryo inside, and tarantula spiders are considered delicacies. Balut, in particular, is a popular street food in the Philippines, where it is believed to be an aphrodisiac. Similarly, in Cambodia, fried tarantulas are a common snack, often sold by street vendors and eaten by both locals and tourists. In Iceland, hakal, or fermented shark, is a traditional food that dates back to the Viking era. The process of fermenting and drying the shark meat is necessary to make it safe to eat, as fresh shark meat is toxic. Hakal has a strong ammonia-like smell and taste, which can be overwhelming for those unaccustomed to it, but it remains a beloved part of Icelandic heritage. In recent years, the bizarre food movement has gained momentum, with chefs and food enthusiasts actively seeking out and promoting unusual foods. Television shows like Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmern and No Reservations with Anthony Bourdain have brought global attention to the wide variety of strange and exotic foods consumed around the world. These shows have not only highlighted the foods themselves, but also the cultural contexts in which they are eaten, emphasizing the idea that food is an integral part of cultural identity. The history of bizarre exotic foods is a rich and complex tapestry that reflects humanity's diverse culinary practices, cultural exchanges, and evolving tastes. What one culture considers bizarre or even repulsive, another may view as a delicacy. This diversity of tastes and traditions is a reminder of the vastness of the human experience and the ways in which food connects us to our history, our environment, and each other. As globalization continues to bring the world closer together, the lines between the familiar and the exotic are becoming increasingly blurred. Foods that were once considered bizarre are now finding their way onto mainstream menus, challenging our perceptions of what is normal or acceptable to eat. In this way, the history of bizarre exotic foods is not just a record of the past, but a glimpse into the future of global cuisine.